What I know from the past and the experiences we've had in the past, we always run to the IMF when we are in difficulty. Normally, if you had a clear plan and then you go to the IMF and say, this is my transformational agenda, this is what I want to do in the next 5, 10 years, you need support of this nature to help transform our economy. That is different. But we most times go to the IMF when we are in crisis. And therefore, when the IMF comes in, they only come to help stabilize the system. And if you look at the structure of the Ghanaian economy, for the past 10 years, the structure hasn't changed. We are still highly import dependent. We are still exporting raw materials. The growth in our non-traditional export has not been that high. We import so much crude oil. So really, the structure of the economy hasn't changed, even though we've had IMF intervention. It means that IMF coming in is not going to necessarily help you transform your economy and change the structure of the economy, which we are all eager to see. However, what it brings is stability. So at this particular moment, we need the stability and we need it badly. And therefore, let the IMF come in. Let's have the stability. But our idea and our plans for transforming the economy should not be lost. We should actually continue that agenda and do everything possible to help transform the economy. If we change our structure, eventually, in the near future, we may not need IMF intervention. But that requires a lot from us. The discipline is important, focusing on the right sectors, pushing resources into sectors that is most productive and generating the kind of resources and employment you need, and having the positive effect of taxes and expanding the tax net. If we do those things right, then we can be in a good state for the future where we wouldn't need IMF intervention to stabilize our economy. So at this moment, we don't have a choice. Let's go for the IMF. Let's help with the stability, but we shouldn't lose sight of the transformation agenda, the change in the structure that we need to move industry and the Ghanaian economy forward.
Now, talking about, we not having a choice, and this is going to bring about some resilience to the Ghanaian economy. Do I get the impression that that's like, for you, it's good that we're going to the IMF because of the circumstances we're faced with?
Come again, please.
I'm asking that based on all that you've said, the fact that we do not have a choice and this will bring about some resilience to the Ghanaian economy. Do I get the impression that for you, it's good that we're going to the IMF because of the current circumstances that we find ourselves in?
Exactly the point. At this particular moment, you don't seem to have much choice, and therefore, once it to bring stability, and you just mentioned that, or is it the prof who just mentioned that the mere announcement of we going to the IMF has started improving our Euro bond market. So it means that it has some positive implication for us in terms of stability, but it's not going to transform our economy. The current, we don't know how the negotiation is going to be, but the situation we find ourselves and the previous experiences clearly shows that IMF coming in and coming in at the time that we are in crisis is not going to help with the transformation agenda. It's only going to help us stabilize. So for us, for the stability, we need it. But I think it's also very important that the kind of negotiations we do this time around is critical. What is it that we have to give in for the IMF to come in? What is the kind of discipline that we need to have? Which areas or sectors should we focus on? Much as we'll be probably controlling expenditure in certain areas, we have to be very careful in the way we negotiate. Let's negotiate in a way that supports the productive sector and the manufacturing sector and the industry sector and the agricultural sector. So we are more or less import dependent. Part of the problem we have today, and part of the reason why we've just run to the IMF, or we are running to the IMF, is the fact that our inflation levels have been very high. And if we look at the inflation that we are experiencing today, most of it is imported inflation because we import so much into the country. We don't produce that much in the country, and therefore, when there is a problem in the external environment, we quickly have to absorb it in the form of higher prices because we are virtually importing so much. So if you want to have IMF negotiations, then you have to negotiate in a way that supports your productive sector, supports the agricultural sector, link agriculture to industry, ensure the growth in industry, manufacturing, and all that. And then we can create the jobs. We can generate internal revenue through taxes. Then we become self-dependent. Then we import less. In that case, you are transforming in the midst of the stability. And eventually, you get to a point where you wouldn't need IMF intervention. For me, the way we negotiate, where we focus, how we put the resources is very critical at this particular stage.
Great. This morning, our focus is on what an IMF program means for you and for me and for Ghanaian businesses. And we're privileged to be joined by Professor Godfrey Bokping, who is a professor of finance. We're also joined by Seth Chum Akwabua, whom you just heard, who is CEO of AGIA, that's Association of Ghana Industries, and Joseph Obeng is president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association. We're calling in studio Mark Bidu Abuaje, CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So you've heard from AGI, you've heard from Guta, you've heard from the professor. Let me hear from you now. Good news that we are going to the IMF?
Well, under the circumstances, it's a good news. Usually something forces us to go to IMF. Certain conditions. And these are the same conditions that are existing now in all the 16th or 17th that we've gone to IMF. What are the conditions? High inflation, high interest rate, high policy rate, debt to GDP very high, our international reserve dwindling faster. And under such circumstances, the environment definitely will not be good for businesses. Because you can't
the current
operate,
environment is not good for
it's
you.
not good for businesses. I mean, how can you operate an environment where we have inflation of 26.7? You have a policy rate of 19. Check the West African, even sub-region. In fact, Ghana's interest rate is among the highest, if not the second highest in the world. How can a business operate under such circumstances? The high debt to GDP means that government will have to finance its operations, and government will have to go into the market and borrow. All the treasury bills that the government is buying is at the expense of the private sector. It means you are taking money that private sector needs to expand, to finance government projects. So you are cutting out private sector. So the environment now is not good for businesses. The stability is very poor. There is low confidence in the Ghanaian economy. Nobody would want to invest in the Ghanaian economy looking at the current situation. So it was just important that we go to IMF. And what IMF does is to help bring stability, as I said, into the economy. And that is one of the most important things that every economy needs for the private sector to thrive. IMF will not give you money and to finance your other projects like one district, one factory. But there should be a combination of that stability and also homegrown policies to address those issues. So you get a stability. What are you doing with the stability? In all the 17 times that we have been there, one way or the other, we've been able to achieve certain level of stability. It's what we do with the stability after they have exited. That is what we have not been able to manage very well. When they leave, now we start borrowing. When they leave, the moment there is an inflation, the policy rate is jacked up with the assumption that most of the inflations are coming from the demand side. Meanwhile, there are supply side challenges. And who address them? It's the private sector. So why don't you empower the private sector to be able to produce? Now, there have been statements like IMF will come restrictions, IMF will not allow government to employ. Look, government employs just 6% of the total labor force. Even though government is the highest or the single highest employer, employs just 6%. The private sector employs 94%. So if government is not able to employ, but you have a stability that will help the private sector to grow, expand, and employ, the 94% is bigger than the 6%. People will now gravitate towards the private sector and will be able to absorb the people who are looking for a job. Look at the number of students that are coming out.
That wouldn't happen overnight. It will take a bit of time.
So we need to start from somewhere. In fact, as a chamber, we clearly indicated at the beginning of the year that by April, if you are not able to resolve the challenges, we should gravitate towards IMF. And you realize that right from April, inflation started going up. Policy rate, more borrowing. So we indicated at that time that it's a time for us to go to IMF. Going to IMF will not force you to come. It's your conditions that will force you to go to IMF. And that is that condition that is existing now and is forcing us to go to IMF. So for us, under the same circumstances, I think that is the right decision. What we are going to negotiate for is also important. And what we do after they have exited is also important. That is what we should be, the discussion should be.
Talking about what we should negotiate for. What should we be negotiating for?
So IMF comes in with high level of monetary policy and bit of fiscal policy just for you to have higher reserves and also balance of payment situations. Now, when that is done, we should also have a policy that will also enhance the productive sector. How would that be? Now, the stability has come. What are the homegrown policies? We should not at this time do anything that possibly will affect what we are doing with the one district, one factory. That possibly will affect the planting for food and jobs and other homegrown policies. We should rather strengthen those policies as a complementary policy to that of the IMF.
We should strengthen the planting for food and jobs.
Yes, because that is what is going to give us the food.
One district, one factory.
One district, one factory. In fact, if you look at the 7-year plan, 1964, it was clearly stated that for Ghana to be a strong economic force, we should look at our manufacturing sector.
Okay.
Even at that time, they have predicted that there will be an after. And for us to benefit from after, it's only when we add value to our raw materials. 60, 70 years down the line, we are having the same conversation. What did we do over the period? If we had started, and I've said that even every year we decide, even before the one district, one factory, that we are going to pick 10 companies, manufacturing companies, and provide support services to them every year. 60 years, how many would you have done? So we'd have had people or companies in various sectors that we have grown over the years, so that we will not depend on the import of almost everything that we have in here, and rather we'll be producing and exporting. So now let's look at IMF, the stability that it will bring. Now, what do we have to do? Strengthen businesses, strengthen the private sector. They shouldn't come and impose additional taxes on us. As Dr. Bin rightly said, we are paying enough, and the challenge is not we are able easily to identify businesses and impose taxes on them. So usually they increase the tax rate without broadening the tax net. If there should be an innovative way to broaden the tax net, so the businesses also have a leeway to plow back their profit into their businesses and expand and be able to employ more people. Because they know business A is here, quickly they come and say they are increasing the corporate tax rate from this, they are increasing VAT to this. What other policies, innovative policies do they have to ensure that those who are not paying taxes are also brought into the net to also be paying taxes?
Great. I'll get back to you, Mark Bidrabwaji, who is CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We also have joining us on phone Seth Chumakwaba, who is CEO of the Association of Ghana Industries. Joseph Obing, as president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, and Professor Godfrey Bokping, who is a professor of finance at the University of Ghana. We'll come back and continue with the conversation. We'll be finding out from Professor Bokping, for instance. Government says, well, social intervention projects will not be suspended. Review maybe. What do we do? Already some are talking about the fact that we should, stop the paying of nursing and teacher trainee allowances. Mark here says we should be strengthening planting for food and jobs and the one district, one factory. What will be his views after these messages? We'll be right back.
GSE, the Ghana Stock Exchange, energized for growth. Join Ghana's preferred investment platform. Experience our 3 exciting markets customized to meet the scale of your idea or business. GSE Main Market, Ghana Alternative Market GAX, Ghana Fixed Income Market GIFM. The GSE provides a platform that helps you mobilize capital for your business to be in the right place. Speak to us or our licensed brokers and we will tell you how. GSE, the preferred platform for investment and raising long-term capital.
This is the Cherry QQ. Ooh. Compact, yet spacious. Cool when hot and hot when cool. Long distances, low fuel. Good looking, tough and rugged. Ooh. The Cherry QQ carries load without being a load. Can be fun, can be serious, but most importantly, it's easy to drive and easy to own. Affordable, respectable, manageable, and can be yours today. Just call Rebecca on 0501-274-487 and say Fred sent you for a discount on your new QQ.
Cherry QQ, distributed and serviced by Tanning Group.
What? It seems Royal Foam did not get the memo. Times are tough. Prices are going up. they're giving 10% discount, free pillows with every purchase. Hey, Royal Foam. Just when you thought all they manufacture are quality but affordable mattresses and pillows, they take it up a notch by being thoughtful in these hard times. Royal Foam has reduced their prices drastically. Buy a mattress, get a free pillow. Enjoy 10% discount instantly, nationwide. Take advantage. Enjoy Royal Foam. Enjoy the best. Call 020-227-1000 for other hot deals happening at Royal Foam. Royal Foam, rest assured.
It's Melcom craziest sale ever. Melcom, your one-stop shop, brings you the craziest sale ever. Activate your shopping mood now to enjoy huge discounts and mind-boggling crazy offers at any Melcom shop nationwide. It's the craziest sale ever. Terms and conditions apply. Melcom, where Ghana shops.
Since inception, almost 100% of Ashesi University students have found jobs, started businesses, or gone on to graduate school within 6 months of graduation. From Accra to Nairobi, London to New York, Ashesi graduates are noticed and they are leading successful careers. If you dream of a rewarding life and career, an Ashesi education prepares you for just that. Learn more about applying to Ashesi at www.ashesi.edu.gh. Remember, admission is ongoing.
Driver, so it's no mommy why?
Your money no reach.
But you're also sweating.
Sake of the 11 no.
11 na your ding.
Aha, see them, government speaking. By their words you shall know them.
Wait, are you aware that if we had better road network, we would not be in this unnecessary traffic?
I'm aware, pa, but things are tough.
Indeed, things are tough all over. That is why we need to come together and ensure a better future for Ghana.
What are you talking about?
Bosu, when we all pay it, it becomes more. Little drops of e-levy can build a mighty nation.
We are sure.
When you pay your taxes, including e-levy, the government will be in a better position to provide more social amenities and build more infrastructure.
Charlie, it no be easy.
Mitewase, but it gets better when we have a plan and we stick to it. Many Ghanaians don't pay their taxes. It's not easy for the government too. E-levy know a good plan, so let's together build our nation with it.
Hey, e-levy ambassador papa.
Let your taxes work for you, and let's help develop Ghana together. This ad is powered by the government of Ghana, Ghana Revenue Authority, and the people of Ghana.
Pay your taxes.
Coffee in your cup. Enjoy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best on Joy 99.7 FM. Coffee in your cup. Enjoy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best on Joy 99.7 FM.
All right, so welcome back. This is the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. And very soon we'll be getting back to the conversation on the IMF program and what it means for you and me, as well as Ghanaian businesses. Text messages on the Super Morning Show brought to us by Glyco-Critical Illness Plan, GSIP. It's in your best interest to survive. Keep your messages coming. We'll be reading your messages shortly. But feel the beauty of the African continent and enjoy the colorful Adansi Travels 9th Wonder African Tours. Join me, Winston Amoa, as we explore two amazing cities in Africa, Addis Ababa and Cape Town, from the 11th to the 19th of August for only 15,990 Ghana cedis. So that's been reduced to 14,990 Ghana cedis per person. And this trip offers you the opportunity to see the famous Ntoto Park in Addis Ababa or taste the finest Ethiopian coffee. I think I'll try the Ethiopian coffee, even though I normally do not take coffee. In Cape Town, you get to visit the V&A waterfront, the table mounting, and many more. It's our 9th anniversary, and you get a massive 1,000 Ghana cedis discount if you book now till 9th July. Book now at adansitravels.com or call us on 0595500817 or 0556310404. You deserve this vacation. Don't miss out. Adansi Travels, fuel life's beauty. Now, if you own a Peugeot, a Citroën vehicle, this is the news you've been waiting for. Beginning 4th July, all Peugeot and Citroën owners can visit any Silver Star Auto Workshop in Accra, Tema, or Kumasi and enjoy free diagnosis of their vehicles and a 15% discount on spare parts and any service delivery. Promo ends on the 29th of July 2022. Visit our Facebook and Instagram pages to book your slot. Terms and conditions apply. Silver Star Auto, your trusted partner. Let me get to you, Professor Bokking, so I wrap it up with you before we continue with the conversation, because you have to leave us. So there's been a lot of talk about what could happen to government flagship programs. Government says free SHS would not be suspended, but in line with government's review, yes, a few things could be looked at. But of course, it's very clear government flagship programs would not be affected by this. Should government begin to consider a critical review and in some instances scrapping of its flagship programs? Professor Bokking.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's look at it this way. Even without the IMF program, most of these flagship programs are under threat, are seriously being affected because of lack of funding appropriately, because of a lack of efficiency in the delivery of some of these flagship programs. So some of these flagship programs we are talking about really have considerable challenges. Free senior high school, feeding, transfers to the schools on time, and all of that congestion. These are evident for everyone to see, right? So I believe that, and the IMF itself is open. And when I say so, it's because in the last couple of decades, the IMF itself is evolving. So they are more accommodative of social spending because of the role that plays in narrowing inequality and reducing poverty. So if you look at the 16th IMF program, one of the things the program did was also to ensure social protection. So LEAP and the other things were protected. So certainly there are certain social interventions that we all see to be very desirable, and certainly they will be preserved. But of course, we have to look at a review broadly, and a review necessarily may not mean cancellation. We need to look at the financing model. We need to look at all of these things. So I believe that one of the things that the program gives us right now is the opportunity to have a broader conversation backed by empirical analysis that says that this is what we can accommodate. This one can go in the same shape. This one needs to be revised, and all of that. What kind of trade-off? What kind of measures we need to? What should we cut here in terms of expenditure, rationalization, or restraint, or whatever? That is what we have now that we have to do. And let me quickly comment on it, because in the next 6 minutes I have to go and teach. Sure. My students are waiting for me. So I agree with those from the captains of industry and their submissions. You know that it's basic. Macroeconomic stability is not an end. It's not an end in itself. It's a means to an end. So, but businesses need that macroeconomic stability. And now the vice president once said that macroeconomic stability is like fresh air. Everybody needs that fresh air. Businesses need that fresh air. So the economy, talk about the macroeconomy. They are talking about life. Managing the economy, we are managing life. Business is a life. So we need to look at all this. And that's why I'm saying that in this negotiation discussion, let's adopt that open-minded inclusivity, embrace alternative ideas from private sector. And to be very honest, I have enjoyed the submissions from the various associations. It tells me that we are getting to the point of convergence in terms of where we are and what we need to do. What is needful going forward now is to also get government to be speaking the same language as the private sector, so that whatever comes out at the end out of this negotiation, and all that, I remember it's not just a one-week thing, right? Because designing a program it involves a lot back and forth here. Government will say, this is our proposal. This is our diagnosis of the problem. This is how we want to solve it. They have to convince the IMF. There may be alternatives and all of that. Because if the program itself is poorly designed, then it can only achieve limited effectiveness.
But I mean, looking at the flagship program, Professor Bokping, here you are. Yes, you have a planting for food and jobs. You have Agenda 111. Agenda 111. Which is expected, to cost us some $1.7 billion over the period. There's been concerns, for instance, about the need to construct 111 health facilities, particularly when you have some health facilities lacking the requisite infrastructure.
Yeah.
Do we need to continue with that? Do we need to be paying nursing and teacher trainee allowances in this era when they can go for loans? How about even, stopping the payment of one constituency $1 million under the Infrastructure for Poverty Eradication Program. Are these not things we can consider?
Yeah, these are possible things to look at. But let me just say that if you look at government's own timeline in completing the Agenda 111, it tells you that the whole conceptualization had weaknesses because you didn't have control over the financing and all of that. Then we could have done them probably in a certain gradual manner and free up space for other critical investments and all of that. Sometimes if you look at our health centers, physical location and all of that, sometimes the distance may not be so much of a problem because the roads are just not good, right? So if you look at the geographical dispersion of the siting of hospitals and all of that and compare that to other countries, you realize that we may not be disadvantaged. But the problem is that a 10-kilometer road journey, because the road is that bad, may take several hours and all of that. So you are looking at the whole value chain. You are looking at easing the restrictions on the growth drivers of the economy, movement, and all of that. So, it's a bit sad that we are talking about all these challenges in the midst of crisis that is beyond homegrown policy that IMF has to come in, right? So, but I'm hoping that we will learn useful lessons. But if we leave it to politicians alone, we will be here maybe in less than 3 years, maybe talking about the same thing, right?
Professor Bokpin, thank you very, very much for joining us. We're grateful to you.
The Ninth Wonder Tours with Adansi Travel is here. It's a Nairobi, Dubai, Kigali, Dubai, and exclusive Dubai Adansi Papebi unforgettable mega tour. Come along on the Ninth Wonder Tour as we explore Nairobi, Dubai on Kenya Airways, Dubai on Emirates, and Kigali, Dubai on Rwand Air. Each of these goes for 12,990 Ghana cedis per person and starts on 9th August with over 15 different dates to choose during August and September. This package covers flights, visas, hotels, transfers, and Ninth Wonder Tours prepared specially for you. Pay for the value of 6 days and enjoy a 9-day tour. There shall be a special all-white yacht cruise on Dubai Marina, guided discounted shopping in Dubai, and a great experience at the Desert Safari. Register from now till 10 July and enjoy a discount of 1,000 Ghana cedis per person. Book your seats now on www.adansitravels.com or call 05955 00817 0552 648-267. You can visit our head office in Accra, East Legon, close to American House. Adansi Travels, feel life's beauty.
Your office they shine, oh.
Yes, so I tell you, say for proper and modern ceiling solutions, the answer be Interface Limited. Them get in stock acoustic ceilings where you go fit make your office fine like my own.
Or even better pass your own self.
We can't better pass my own.
Shall I go Interface right now?
Interface Limited is the leading supplier and installer of finishing input materials for the building and construction industry in Ghana. Call us on 0274-999999 or visit our website at
www.interfacelimited.net. Facebook, Interface Limited GH. Instagram, interface.limited.
Wow, I just paid my taxes right now. Since they started this pay from anywhere, it has become easier, cra.
Easy, cra. Now nobody has an excuse. So long journey no ye jai. Tax, why? Effie, don't tell me you have not been paying taxes, so.
No, I'm tired of paying. Don't be. It's the taxes we pay that government will use to improve the markets and to build the nation. Oh, I don't know. It just takes your whole day.
Hey, you mean you have been going to the GRA office?
Effie, unye current cra. Come and join us. So I'm not paying taxes, no.
Pay your taxes online, at the bank, or from your phone. Together, we can build a great nation. GRA.
Where do you live?
Where do you live?
Where do you live?
Where do you live? Where do you live?
Where do you live?
Where do you live?
Where do you live?
Where do you live?
Where do you live? Where do you live?
I live at Manet. I live at Dawenya.
I live at Tema. I live at Ansuman.
I live at Edwi.
I live at Oyarifa. I live at East Airport. I live at Kuntusi. I live at Spencer's.
I live at Kaswa.
The EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair. Where you live matters.
Coffee in your cup and Joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM.
All right, so this is the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. And you just heard from Professor Godfrey Bopping talking about the things we need to do and not having to leave it in the hands of the politicians when it comes to our engagement with the IMF. Well, we're not leaving it to the politicians. This morning we're joined by Mark Biduabuaji, who is CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Seth Chumakwawa is the CEO of the Association of Ghana Industries. And Joseph Obeng is the president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association. They've all joined us. We're having a conversation about Ghana's program with the IMF. But there are 100 more reasons to buy your airtime with MTN Momo. You're probably asking why? Well, it's really simple. Momo is giving you back 100% bonus whenever you buy airtime from your wallet. And that's 2 times the airtime you need. You can schedule your airtime purchase of any amount daily, weekly, or monthly by dialing *170# option 3 and follow the process, or simply dial *170 *311# for a superb airtime purchase experience. So whether you're scheduling tomorrow's airtime today or buying airtime when you need it on *170# or *170 *311#, you get a 100% bonus airtime, so you can make twice as many calls and catch up the gist only on MTN Momo. Now, Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited, your #1 supplier of quality office essentials, equipment, and furniture at affordable prices, has introduced an online store for your shopping convenience. This means you can now shop by simply logging on to kingdomstoreonline.com without physically coming to any of our branches. It is hassle-free and will arrange delivery to your homes and office within a reasonable time. We offer free delivery within Accra and Tema and accept payment via Momo across all networks. Terms and conditions apply at Kingdom. Quality and affordability are their hallmarks. So you know that Allianz Life has brought life insurance straight to your doorstep. A short code *1890# is the fastest and most convenient way to sign up for life insurance policies. You can buy and pay for your life insurance, pay premiums on existing account, check your balance, withdraw your insurance, savings, initiate claims, and receive payments promptly. It doesn't get any better than this. Dial *1890# right now and experience life. For more information, call Allianz Life Insurance on 0302-267-892 or visit our website on allianz-gh.com. Follow Allianz Life on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube on Allianz Ghana and on Instagram at Allianz_GH. Allianz Life, we secure your future. So let me get back to you, Seth Chumakwawa, as we continue with the conversation. Professor Bopping ends on the note that we should, not leave this to politicians only. I know in the past we had a Century Consensus, came up with a lot of ideas, and it was based on that we developed our homegrown policies for engagement with the IMF. Are you looking forward to being engaged as we prepare for this IMF program?
Well, very much so. Very much so. We've actually been engaging government over the years. But I think on this particular specific project, and I see it as a project because you have to define time period and all that, it is important that we engage specifically on this so that the input of the private sector will be brought to bear. It is very important because we are the operators on the ground, the practical situation and the challenges we face it on the ground. And the private sector, if it works for everyone. And therefore, our input is critical. Of course, we have no doubt about the capacity of government and its ministers and the cabinet in having the knowledge and everything. But then consultation on the ground helps a lot in pushing the agenda forward. And in doing so, the critical factor that will help push the agenda of transformation, as I said, is important. Because in this particular case, as I said, IMF is bringing stability. But we have to start looking beyond the stability. If you want to wait till the end of the IMF program before we think transformation and structural changes, then we'll get to the same point again one day. So right from the onset, right from this discussion, how do we ensure that the aspect that relates to supporting the productive sector is brought to bear? You can get these ideas from the private sector. We talked about the 1P1F and planting for food. We definitely need to support these sectors because these are the productive sectors. Today we have the DBG, that's the Development Bank for Ghana. Now, what is government's own contribution in terms of resources? We know that the donors are helping and all that. But at this crucial point, I think this is one of the areas we should even push more money in so that we can have enough funds to give to the medium and SMEs to do medium to long-term businesses, because that is where the productive sector will be affected. So when all these discussions come in, we would make such contributions. We know that in situations like this, government wants to cut down expenditure, but it's not every expenditure that has to be cut. Key infrastructure areas which connect to the productive sector, energy, industrial enclaves, utilities, that support the private sector development, we don't have to cut it down. We really need to even increase the expenditure there. So all these discussions, I believe, if it happens, will make a big impact on what the final negotiation position should be. So I think consultation is important, and we are ready for such consultation.
Now, earlier, Mark talked about the need to support planting for food and jobs, and one district, one factory. You've also said same. But these are not the only government flagship programs. What about the other flagship programs? Seth, what should be done to them?
Well, I think all the flagship programs have to be reviewed. We have cut our quotes according to our side. Let's see what is feasible within the next foreseeable future. Let's see what our revenue generation model is, how much we are mobilizing in terms of resources internally, and how much we can spend. If we control it that way, then we can be sure that we will only spend what we're able to generate. And then if we will get resources from elsewhere, through the IMF, through the other sources, then we will work with that. So I think it's important that we put things in context. And the other flagship programs, I wouldn't say stop this or stop that. We need to do thorough evaluation of them and see which one is feasible. Some of them may require some review to limit maybe the expenditure we are making there. Some would even need some tweaking here and there. So we need to do a comprehensive analysis of all these flagship programs and see which ones we need to focus on. For me, the most important thing is that let's put a lot of emphasis on the productive sector so that we can limit the jobs, so that we can be less import dependent. If we succeed in doing that, all other things will also go well. Let's look at the tax regime, for example. If you take the tax regime, tax aspect that is not helping the productive sector, that is not helping industry, can we look at it? I'll give you an example.
Go ahead.
In the printing industry, for example, we had this Florence Convention, which is 1975, very old convention, where the Commonwealth came together and said, we wanted to promote education, and therefore, if you bring textbooks, it should be duty-free. And it has stayed with us to today. Meanwhile, today, we have big printing firms who have the capacity to print all our textbook needs. So, if you are bringing textbooks into the country duty-free, it has all the exemptions. And yet, when you are producing locally, you import the raw materials. The raw materials, you have to pay duty on it. So, it will make the local production more expensive than the imported. And that is what we're doing to ourselves. So, in the end, we import so much, and we weaken local productive sector. So, when we are looking at some of these issues, we need to look at the tax regime. We need to look at areas that support the productive sector. There are several examples we can cite. So, please, I think that at this particular moment, we need to have a sober reflection. And I accept your comment on the consultation. So we consult extensively and get solid input from the key stakeholders operating in the various sectors, especially areas that are productive in nature, to support government. And then, if on the basis of this review, we need to cut down expenditure on some of the flagship programs, then we do so. But we have to link it. Everything has to be integrated and interconnected. Otherwise, we'll get it wrong.
Now, your constant reference to investing in productive areas. Now, we've said the private sector is the engine of growth. So a lot of the investments are things you can also do. You can actually, get a bit of funding from the banks and then move into it. What do you expect government to do for you?
Well, that is where the stability comes in, and that's where it's most critical. Private sector is not so much dependent on government for its resources. Private sector borrows from the system. They go to the banks and all that. But let's look at the current situation. Because of the instability, policy rate is 19%. So borrowing rate is 25-30%. How can a typical private sector company borrow at 30% and do the expansion and do new business venture into new ventures, and create the jobs that we need. So what the role government has to play is the facilitation role. Create the environment such that we have access to cheaper funds, we have access to medium to long-term funding, just as we have the DTG that is coming up if it's able to serve that purpose more. That is the kind of vehicle we need. So that and then in the infrastructure, are we linking it to the productive sector? That's the role of government. We have a tax environment which is very supportive of industry. Today we have the straight levy and all that. What is the effect of some of these tax policies on the manufacturing sector? When we had the standard rate of VAT, you will recover the 17.5% that you impose as tax as VAT. Today you can only recover 12%. So it means that 5% and now even 6% difference is a tax on you. So that's an additional imposition on you as a manufacturer. Okay. So are you supporting the product sector? So it's not a question of government giving money directly to private sector, but creating the environment such that the productive sector will be competitive. The name of the game now is competitiveness. Okay. Today we have AFTA with us. So businesses will be exporting from different parts of Africa to Ghana. We also have the opportunity of exporting to other countries. But if you are not competitive, your market will be taken away because the products come in and they are cheaper than your own local production. So you need to be able to have this environment right. So I think if you are talking of the role of government in this sense, it's not so much government donating to the private sector. And as you know, private sector has indeed been a lot of investment. And a lot of the projects that have been and investment that are coming, if you talk GIPC, investment that are coming either from foreign or local sources, they are all being generated by the private sector. They are not asking government to bring in resources. It's the SMEs that we need some engineering to help them. That's where government flagship programs comes in and help. Even the one district, one factory, we would have loved to have a lot more resources to help some of those factories to be established because they are unique in their own system. However, the kind of resources we are having is still private sector with the bank. It's the banks that are lending. Government is supporting, though, in terms of the interest cost. But private sector is leading a lot of the arrangements in getting the funding to set up these factories. And government has already said so. So it's not so much a dependence of government. I think private sector is quite proactive, but we need the kind of environment that will support the private sector to take the risk and do long-term business, get long-term funding to do long-term business. Then we can grow the economy the way we expect.
Great. Let me get to Joseph Obing of Guta. And so let's look at some of the things you would want done. Seth has talked about how we should invest more into planting for food and jobs and 1D, 1F. What about you?
Yeah, that we have to enhance on productivity. There's no two ways about that. And I go for that. And even we as traders, we need to change our way of doing business. It shouldn't be that we always import. Because business is two-way. Trading is two-way. We can send goods to our import destinations and then use the proceeds of our export and buy the goods for import. That is how it should be. But we lack a lot more information. We do not know the product that we can even send out there. And that's why we have to come back, sit down with government, Ghana Export Promotion Authority and all that. And then at this crucial stage that we need to enhance on productivity, enhance on export more and all that, they give us this information. For us, we are ready to help the nation. As a matter of fact, most times it is believed that we just want to import. But it is not true. We sell the goods that are produced here in Ghana, and then the shortfall is what we bring to make up the difference. You see, we have even the opportunity, the Ukraine war brought to bear, food shortages and all that. It meant that then the country is advantaged to sell its local produce. But was it the case? The nation was even confused as to how they can sustain the local productivity because it's virtually not there. So it's about production. If we're able to produce, we are there to sell. But the shortfall, if there's shortfall, so we don't create room for shortfall. If you have the goods in local, it's not about us not being patriotic and sell. It's about us having availability of goods to sell. If it is not there, we simply have to bring the shortfall to serve the people of Ghana. So I agree. We have to enhance our productivity. So government have to create the enabling environment, make sure that we put structures to develop or enhance on agricultural and manufacturing sector and all that. And when we are booming in that direction, trade definitely resort to that because we do business internally as much as we do externally. But if we do not have internally, then we go out. So it's not that we are not patriotic, and we seek a lot more information so that we can export what we have here to our import destinations, and it will help the nation. But sometimes you tend to even believe that it's not even more that that we don't have balance of payment surplus. We always have the balance of payment surplus because for 3 years on, we've been having surplus. And if you have surplus, then it means that our forex should be strong, our currency should be strong. Once we are not strong and our currency is not strong, then it means that there's something fundamentally wrong. Well, and that is the demand of the foreign exchange that we have.
You have a balance of trade surplus, but balance of payment, there's a problem there. But you continue.
What I've been saying is that for 3 years on, we've been getting balance of payment surplus. If that is the case, it means that export override that of import. I'm not saying that we don't have to enhance on export, but I'm saying that having achieved that, what was it that we were not able to strengthen the cedi? Because that alone should have strengthened our currency. But the fact that the currency is still being weakened, the forex is going up, it means that the demand of the forex is too much, and that's where we have to look. And that's what I've been saying, that the overdominance of foreign components in the juiciest part of our economy is overwhelming. And because these monies will come, and these people will take it home and repatriate it. That's the area that we have to look. And I will always say this. We have to look at this area, that we do not take it all from what we have been able to achieve, and then because we do not have a retention policy, we need to have a serious retention policy so that the juiciest part of the economy, we have investment laws that depict that we make a conscious effort of investment in those areas so that the foreigners do not take it home. And that one is also very true. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Joseph. Let me come to you, Mark. So you've heard from them. You started this whole conversation about planting for food and jobs and 1D, 1F. What are some of the other things you would want factored into whichever plan we go for?
Well, I I think that our discussion on performance of economy should go beyond the macroeconomic issues. It's very important. But let's also look at the microeconomic issues. Now, we need to look at how the businesses are performing down there. Typically, if you take our performance after talking about inflation, after talking about GDP and others, let's go into the industry sector and look at the contributors of industry to the GDP. You realize that consistently and continuously, the manufacturing sector, the performance has been going down. And in an economy that you have the manufacturing sector not doing very well, these are some of the things that you see. You will see that you import almost everything. You will see that now you have to, a lot of people are not getting jobs. The reason being that the manufacturing sector has a very long value chain, right from whoever is providing the raw material to the marketing end. There are a lot of nodes that are employing people in there. So when we talk about the performance of the economy, let's not concentrate only on the macro, but look at the micro sector as well. So the narrations will not be that inflation is doing this, we compare it with other countries and other things, but what is the productive sector doing? Is the manufacturing sector doing very well? And one other thing that we also have to look at is how I said that we provide this support in terms of financing to businesses. If you go to the bank right now, you won't have any facility that will go beyond 2 years. Most of them maximum is 1 year. But the manufacturing sector needs finances that are long term, medium to long term.
They don't give you any facilities more than
no.
in the banks?
Most of them, about 90% of their facilities are below 1 year and below. So what businesses are doing now is for them to finance their long-term project is to borrow short and use it to finance the long-term, which is very risky because you are borrowing for 1 year. By 1 year, you are supposed to pay all the interest. But the machines you are buying, your production line, fixing them would take not less than 3 to 5 years. So you are borrowing and you are supposed to pay the interest rate within 1 year. Meanwhile, you have not started production, you have not started selling, and you don't have the money to pay. So businesses don't have long-term funding. That is why we are happy that Development Bank of Ghana is coming in, and of course is going to provide this long-term financing to businesses. What we are praying for is that's not going to be like the other the development banks that were supposedly supposed to provide long-term funding to businesses, but they were not doing that. So beyond the stability, now let's look at growth, because if you don't have stability, you can't grow. IMF is giving us the stability. What do we do for us to be able to grow is to provide all the necessary support to the productive sector and of course to the manufacturing sector.
And talking about the necessary support, I'm interested in the support. I mean, you've talked about there being the Development Bank of Ghana, hoping that, it would change this narrative of, it would change this current situation where a lot of you do not get beyond 1 year facilities. Apart from that, what other supports are we talking about?
So another support is also the tax system. It should be such that those who are into specific areas, like the manufacturing sector, should be given some sort of incentives. Now, if you are importing a raw material to Ghana and they are taxing you that high at the port, there are 17 different taxes and levies at the port. Now you come and you have interest rates. You come, the economy is also not doing well. By the time you are done, you are not competitive. So let's look at the physical aspect also. What taxes and exemptions do you have to provide, even to the local people and not only to the foreign companies? The foreign companies, some come in, but they have exemptions. Local companies struggle to get exemptions. Now, look, we did a research chamber, and we realized that the SMEs in Ghana are growth-oriented, meaning that given the opportunity, they can grow long-term and become like the multinationals. What they lack is the support. What they lack is the funding. What they lack is the fiscal support from taxes. Now, they will make all the necessary revenue up to a point. When they deduct all the taxes, you realize that they don't even have anything to plow back. So let's look at these things and let's structure in such a way that we are innovative in providing support to the SMEs. SMEs initially will struggle, but you have to ensure that you support them at a point where they'll be able to stand on their own. And that is what the developed economies are doing. Go to Asia. Let's learn from them, because you always compare ourselves to them. Korea, we started on the same footing with them. What are they doing? In fact, they are exporting more than what they are importing. So they created a very broad economy. In fact, our economy is very vulnerable to external shocks. So sometimes I find it difficult when politicians are talking as if they are able to do everything and the economy is doing well. Just one shock from the outside, if you don't have a strong economy, it will destroy all the gains that we have made. And just Ukraine and Russia war, and look at what we are going through. If for any reason we've been able to, some of the things that we import, produce them locally, we will not have this effect. Fertilizer, we can do it. When you are planning for food and jobs, one of the things that you should ask yourself is, do we have firms, companies now will produce fertilizers for us locally. That is one thing. Even if we do, what support are we providing to these companies? Yes. So if the fertilizer is not coming from Ukraine, it's not coming from Russia, it's not coming from Nigeria, we have a local firm that can provide fertilizer to our farmers. So it should be a more integrated approach. It's not a one thing saying that we are doing planting for food and jobs. What are the nodes? What are the other factors that are feeding into the sources of the planting for food and jobs? These are the things we need to look at. But going forward, I think that there should be a broad-based discussion about this negotiation. Okay. They shouldn't take out the private sector because we know what is happening. They shouldn't think that they know more than what we do. Because, for instance, in the chamber, we have 18 sectors. Each of the sectors, we have sector heads. And every month, we ensure that we find out what their challenges are so that we try to resolve them. We know what the situation is. We know the difficulties that businesses are going through. And we're able to provide that expert advice to them in their negotiation. So they should broaden it. They should be more consultative and also engage people who will be able to provide information to them. So at the end of it, Ghana will be the beneficiary of this IMF project and not one political party. We should look at broadly a country, Ghana, and not any political party.
Thank you very, very much, Mark Bedu-Abuaji, CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Thank you very much, Seth Chuma Kwabwa, and a big thank you to you also, Joseph Obeng, who is president of GUTA. We're grateful that all of you made time to join us this morning.
In your cup and Joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best on Joy.